I'm here. We've got some games to talk about this week. We got Kaylee here. We're so excited to hear some of her thoughts on this. So all of us went in and we actually spent some time in the art world. We jumped out of gaming and we said, hey, we're going to go culture ourselves. We're going to step up our game and we're going to go to a museum in art. So we all went and saw the Museum of Other Realities. Kaylee, I'm sure you have the best perspective here. So why don't you kind of tell people what this is like as someone new walking into it and what you thought of it?
Well, my initial reaction was I was really impressed, really, especially when you first walk in. I think it's quite self-explanatory where you need to go and what there is to see. I really liked all the just how self-explanatory everything was. I think it was pretty easy to navigate. The only the only issue that I had was when I first got in. I sort of accidentally, in true Kaylee fashion, accidentally catapulted myself on somewhere in the museum, and I was right in front of this gigantic sort of. It looked like an eyeball, basically a massive, immense eyeball with like tentacles coming out, and I actually have megalophobia, and so, and that was actually induced by VR in the first place. So when I first got there, I kind of walked in and then just got catapulted in front of this thing and just like had to like quickly take the headset off, basically, because I was so scared. But so that initially I had to sort myself out a little bit because I kind of set myself off wrong, I think. Because after that I was just a bit shaken. um so I had to calm. So after I'd calmed down, I had a really nice time once I'd gone to the more like the prettier sort of exhibits. But generally, I thought it was brilliant. I just initially I had to sort of avoid the larger sculptures. Just because I just feel quite uneasy with things like that. I have to really get used to it and adapt. But yeah, I thought it was really nice to see some of like the people that I recognise as well in there, and I hadn't really looked. I wanted it to be a surprise with who was exhibiting as well, and I really liked that. I was like, oh wow, it's Danny and Stella and everything. So I thought it was really really nice, a very good variety as well, which is always good to see. It wasn't just one style and one program. I really liked that. It was so diverse. So yeah, I thought it was brilliant. I was in there for a good amount of time too, so must have had a good time.
Yeah, you said a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Real quick, Museum of Other Realities. It's basically just a virtual museum full of other people's artwork and projects and things. But it has like festivals that are coming up that you could pay money to go see them. At the moment we're recording this, I can't guarantee by the time this podcast comes out, but the moment we're recording this, it's free on Steam. It's usually $20. It's free, so get it if it still is, and go check it out because it's worth it. Kaylee, I was super curious because when I was walking through, I was like, some of these names look kind of familiar, but I'm not really in with the art scene. What percentage would you say you knew of when you were in there?
Oh, probably so. Well, I mean, when I say I know them, like over like my VR
Yeah,
like sort of contacts online, yeah, definitely, probably 60%. Yeah.
nice.
There's
Wow.
only a few that I was like, oh, they're new. In some Kevin Mack actually, I have to say, was a really nice surprise because he was the first VR artist that I'd ever come across ever. Like when I first experienced VR and then got into that whole VR art world and had to study it for university when my tutors were asking for references. He was my first ever VR reference. So that was amazing to see his work in there and get to walk through it because I'd never had actually done that. And ironically, at university, there was nowhere for me to see his work. So I was writing about it and then being able to see his work in the Museum of the Realities was really nice. That was like a really cool moment for me to see his work. So I was like, oh my god, I wrote about him in my essays at university. That's amazing. And then being able to like move around and seeing Danny's work and all the like it's really nice seeing like tilt brush everywhere. And sometimes being able to see a piece of work and actually not being able to recognize which program is because a lot of the time you eventually, especially like the more that you use each program, you get to is more easily recognizable.
Yeah.
There's kind of like a distinctive style, but when sometimes you get people who can really like blur the style, and I think that's so clever. So that was really cool. Yeah.
Adam or Kaylee, did either of you actually interact with anyone? Because there's other people walking around the museum. Did either of you interact with anybody socially while you were in?
I had a chance to interact with someone socially for just a little bit. Because you walk in and you don't have to interact with anyone. You can turn off the social scene and they'll just view as ghosts just sort of floating around. I went in and I don't know, I wanted to talk to some people, so I turned that on. And there's this one other guy, he was just completely new, and we just went through and we looked at a couple different exhibits together. Nothing too much, and then I ran out of time and had to head out. But it was really interesting, and it turned it from this. I gotta say, it really made it seem more like an actual museum experience, where you know that it's not just you solo in the middle of your room. I mean, because that's what I was doing, alone in my office, just experiencing these things. But it felt more like a living museum where people are actually coming in, and you always get this little bit of appreciation being able to share that with someone else, being able
Yes.
to look at an exhibit and not just going, "Wow, that looks really cool," but looking at someone else next to you who's also admiring this exhibit and knowing that, even in just that little way, hundreds of miles apart, that you're being able to experience that same thing together. It's a really cool feeling for me.
Kaylee, did you talk to anybody?
I tried to, but maybe my mic was accidentally muted.
Same. Because I was like yelling people's names. I was like, "Can you hear me?" And
Yeah.
you could actually customize your avatar in the game. And I had done
Yeah.
that to try and like make it look like I was someone who like knew what I was doing. But then I kept trying to talk to people, and I think my mic was off because they would look at me because they'd see me moving. And then they would just look away. So I hope my mic was off. But that was a thing I was even saying as I was in there. I was like, man, I wish I could get another PC up and running and get Natalie in with me, because I thought this is so beautiful and it's so amazing to see all these things that people have created. And not only are you looking at some little scale model, you can teleport into the model and go see
Yeah.
the inside of it. Uh, so I was like, man, I wish Nat was here with me because I'd love to see these together. And then there's hallways that not only have art, but they have some of them have the games, and some of them have the art from games, and some of them have these other documentaries and things you can experience together. You pay like $15 for the big Cannes festival that's going on, and you can go down this whole hallway of these things and go see them all. And I was like, I would love to be doing this with someone because I just felt a little too solo. Uh, and I was just like, oh, I wish I was having that. So, Adam, I'm kind of jealous that yours was working because I really wanted to experience this with other people when I was
Yeah, it
doing
was
it.
really cool. I
Yeah.
gotta say, it was really cool.
I think that would take it over the top. And then I was honestly, Kaylee, I kept looking to see if I'd find your name on something because I was half expecting to
Oh,
find something of yours in there. And then there was this one person's name, Elizabeth something. I was like, is it
Elizabeth
possible?
Edwards. Yeah.
I was like, is this another name that she goes by? I was like, is this maybe hers? Because
Oh,
the style kind of felt like it could have been something you
yeah.
made.
Yeah. She's a
Uh,
really big inspiration to me. Yeah, she's brilliant.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you
Yeah.
knew the people too, because that's always cooler. If it's still free, go get it on Steam. The only thing I would say that drove me crazy, did anybody figure out a way to not have to teleport everywhere?
No, it drove me insane.
Yes.
But you see, the thing is that you have to do it because you're able to like teleport into exhibits. And so you can't really do that with free movement. So, I mean, it
Yeah.
was necessary, but frustrating. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that almost I got in and tried to figure out a way to turn off movement. And I got to say, I almost quit the game right there if it didn't have free movement, just because it's that frustrating to me. But I'm glad I stuck through it, and there's a lot of great things to experience with it. So
Yeah.
it's worth it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the museum's huge, and the problem with it is to teleport, you have to like hold your analog stick set forward for a second, and then this thing like appears. So when I got down like a long hallway, getting back out of the hallway was a chore. So I was like, one teleport, two teleport, three teleport, trying to get all down this hallway because you don't teleport very far. So I wish they would
Yeah.
change that. I mean, let you walk around, but let you teleport into the exhibit and then go from there. Like, give us both abilities. That just felt kind of like old VR, only
Yes.
teleporting. It was the only choice. That drove me a little crazy about it. But beyond that, so many beautiful things to see, so many exhibits to go into. And for someone like Kaylee here who has a great appreciation and is involved in this, it's probably a lot cooler. I was still impressed, but I just kept taking it back to like there's this scene in Blood and Truth, this PSVR game, where you go through a museum, and a lot of it was like that. And I was like, oh man, this takes me back to that. Like, this is really cool. I didn't want to be alone. So next time I got to get someone in there with me.